Hi, this is Deb Wallace, and this presentation is focused on online surveying with a concentration on Qualtrics. What you see before you is the overview of the presentation and how we will proceed in the next few slides. Here are some key terms that will be used throughout the presentation that I want each of you to get familiar with and comfortable with as we talk about online surveying. So what exactly is online surveying? Online surveying is the use of web-based or internet-based surveying. It's the use of creating online surveying tools and sending out those tools via the internet highway to gather information, and that information, once received, is downloaded to an online database. Some quick facts about surveying. Surveying online has become more popular in the last 10 to 12 years. Prior to this, methods of surveying include face-to-face interviews, telephone interviews, using surveys, sending out surveys via U.S. Postal Service, and now online surveying, because we know more about the internet, we know more about the communities that have access to the internet, is dominating. So what are some of the benefits of online surveying? One, we're able to reach inaccessible research participants in a short amount of time. We're able to download a ton of data as a result of contacting these recipients without having to worry about cost. One of the other concerns, though, are low response rates, anonymity, and the need for participant confidentiality. So these are some of the influences that have a direct impact on online surveying. Accessibility to the internet, education about the internet, the populations and the sampling, and then quality versus quantity. So when a researcher sends out their online survey, rarely do we think about who has access to the internet. And so it's important as researchers and as educators and as public servants and any stakeholder that would be prone to use an online survey that we are knowledgeable and in the loop about who we're surveying and if they have access to the internet. Tied in with this is making sure that we are educated and we continue to educate ourselves about those who we are getting ready to survey. It's important that we stay educated about these people because they may not have education about the internet. So we may need to take additional steps to either prepare them and or change our venue of how we gather data. In terms of the populations that we sample, it's important to note that anytime that we have access to a vast amount of information or contact information of people using the internet, that not everybody is going to be receptive and or responsive to our attempts to gather information. So we have to make sure that we keep in mind that we may need to take additional steps to garner an audience that's going to be captive and responsive. In terms of assessment, media impact response, and quality of responses, quantity versus quality, two things. First, we want to make sure that the content that we're looking to measure meshes with the tool that we're using. This will have a direct impact on our ability not only to collect the right data, but also to collect quality data. The other thing is that we want to make sure that all of these other factors, accessibility, education, and population, are in alignment. Otherwise, our effectiveness will also be impacted negatively as well. In 2016, a study was done on 10 online surveys in the UK, and the study looked at two things: individual desirable features and individual essential features. After this study was done, the researchers made some overall recommendations about which surveys served the population in terms of personal and professional data usage. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So in terms of desirable features, you'll notice that there are 10 surveys here: SurveyMonkey, SmartMonkey, Quick Survey, Free Online, eServe, Quest Pro, PollDaddy, Google Forms, Qualtrics, and Quick Surveys. These surveys, in terms of desirable features, looked at the survey start date, customizing the survey, integration of social networks, the use or the completion of the survey on a mobile phone, uploading multimedia, logic branching, customizing a message, and storage time. Qualtrics scored well in scheduling a start date, customizing the survey, integration of a survey in social media, survey usage on mobile phones, uploading multimedia, and logic branching. In terms of the essential features, you'll notice that the essential features included meeting the data protection standards in the UK, friendly interface, exporting raw data, the number of maximum questions, the number of maximum responses, and user-friendly experience and setup. Now, Qualtrics met the UK data protection standards, had a friendly interface. You were able to export raw data. There was no minimum or no limit on the maximum number of questions, and the experience was overall friendly. Keep in mind that these results were based all in the UK. So what the researchers did was they made an overall recommendation that Qualtrics and eSurvey were great surveys for personal and non-personal data collection, which is interesting. So what are some ethical issues with online surveying? So we talked a little bit about some of the factors, but ethical issues is, in order to be a digitally responsible person, misunderstanding of technology and online communities really has to be eliminated. So part of this has to do with education and continuing education, not just about the content that you're looking to gather data on, but about the people you're looking to survey, about the tools that you're looking to use to connect with your content so that you can actually send out your survey. So it's very important that you have that information so that you can proceed in a way that's going to benefit you and the communities that you're looking to gather information from. In terms of privacy and security policies of commercial tools as part of protocol, it's very important that if you're using a third-party online survey tool that you read the instructions. It's also important that if you are part of a professional organization or institution and you're conducting research or gathering data for them using one of these third-party online surveys, that you find out what the policies are for your organization with using these surveys. You want to make sure that you are in compliance with your organization, you are in compliance with any legal matters that may be of concern in your particular area as well. So it's very important. Make sure you find someone who can give you direct guidance on how to conduct research or how to go about gathering data, especially if you are doing this for the first time or you just haven't had a lot of practice. You want to make sure that this person can give you guidance in terms of how to word what your intent is for the survey, how to give expectations on how long the survey is going to take, what's going to happen with the information once it's gathered. So this fits in with security and storage, the anonymity and confidentiality of your participants. Anybody who's taking a survey does not want their information, for the most part, sold to a third party. They want to know how long you're going to keep it for. And this also ties in with making sure you have the proper design and the appropriate research questions. So we talked a little bit about Qualtrics earlier in the presentation, and we're just going to go full-fledged here and have a full-out conversation about Qualtrics. Qualtrics is a very young company. It's only a little over a decade old. Its home base is in Utah and currently has about 8,500 customers. Its start really was based on the need to create software to help businesses and business programs create students that could think and project ahead. However, in the last 5 or 6 years, Qualtrics has really expanded its scope and its influence, not just to top business schools and businesses, but they've begun to reach out and touch the arenas in entertainment and communications and healthcare and real estate and public service. But their brand seems to be maintaining brand management, customer service, effective and valid service delivery. So it still has a business slant. More recently, we've seen Qualtrics move over into the public sector. And in their influencing and infiltrating the public sector, government agencies, and education, specifically K through 12 and higher education, have seen the impacts and have intertwined themselves with this company. So some of the services that Qualtrics has been able to provide to these particular customers have been stakeholder exploration, parent engagement, civic engagement, evaluation, assessment, student assessment, classroom research. So these are some of the things that Qualtrics has been doing in the public sector. So what are some critiques that I have for Qualtrics? A couple of things. Qualtrics is a very, very, very it's a flourishing company. One of the things that I had trouble finding was pricing for someone who was not part of an organization or not part of an institution that was or could potentially be a corporate partner. So I did find out that affordability for a standalone user who's not looking to join an organization, maybe wanted to start up a company, was something that could be called into question. Now, Qualtrics does offer a free trial that goes for an indefinite amount of time, but as I stated earlier in the presentation, the features that you would have access to as a free trial member are limited. There's also a bunch of disclosures about the use of that data as you collect it. So you want to pay attention to those disclosures, as their information is proprietary information, right? Qualtrics still has a business slant in their language and in their approach. And while I understand that the mission and the vision is to help companies stay on the cutting edge by managing their brand and keeping tabs on what people are saying, it's very important as an educator that I see more change and more adaptability outside of the business model to accommodate the educational platforms and non-governmental, nonprofit agency platforms. And so I still think that there's some room left for Qualtrics to grow and to be a little bit more influential and just to be a little bit more adaptable. What are some strengths of Qualtrics? Well, Qualtrics, as I stated before, is a fast flourishing company. One of the reasons why I think Qualtrics has flourished so quickly is because they are very open to criticism and just comments from their paid partners and their customers. And they encourage, as part of their package and as part of their brand, their paid partners to listen to their customers as well. So they encourage their paid partners to do assessments, to listen to their customers, to look for ways that their paid customers can stay on the cutting edge in their areas. Qualtrics is extremely responsive and personal. If you ever need help with any of their demos, any information, they are very helpful and very responsive. I've never picked up the phone to call Qualtrics. I've always used their online chat app, and every time I've used their chat app, there's always been someone who's responded in less than 2 minutes. And when they respond, I get to see who I'm talking to. So the icon of the person who is the representative from that company shows up and I see their picture. So I think that makes that experience all the more personable, and it makes it enjoyable and sort of eases the process of trying to find information. So at this point, I want to conclude this presentation, and I will direct you to my wiki page where you can see the rest of the presentation for online surveying. Thank you so much.